Hello, thank you for joining this video. Here we'll explore how to set up the blog page and blog post page for your Shopify store. So first of all, we need to go to our theme customizer, and then here we need to choose the blog page. So we go to blogs, default blog page. So here we're on our default blog page, as you can see here, and then we go to template and we click on blog. So first of all, we have the paginate by here. So pagination is how many of these blog posts are visible on this page here. As you can see, for this example, we only have 3 blog posts, so we'll not get the gist of how pagination works. But let me switch to another store here, and we'll check out how the pagination works in this store where we have plenty of blog posts. So here, as you can see, we set the paginate by 9, and it means that here we have 9 blog posts visible, and our pagination type is set to infinite scroll, which means that as long as we scroll down, more and more blog posts will appear. So as you can see right now, we have our 9 blog posts, and when we scroll, then here will appear other blog posts. So for example, we go here to this blog page of this store. We have these three, and when we scroll here, as you can see, we now get 9 more. Then again, we get more and more blog posts. We can change it to, for example, pagination. So by applying pagination type pagination, it gives us these buttons that we can switch between to view different pages. Next, we can also change the pagination type from pagination and infinite scroll to load more. So by switching from these pages to load more, we'll get 6 blog posts per page, but instead of these buttons that go to different pages with new and new blog posts, we'll get the load more button. So when we have this load more button, it means that once we click here, more six blog posts will appear, and then again we click on load more again, and we get more and more of these blog posts. So next what we can change the load more button type. So right now it's set to secondary, and this is how the button looks now. It has black background, white text, and black borders, but once we hover on it, we get the white background, black letters, and black borders. So you can actually change these colors from theme settings. So we need to go to theme settings. We need to search for the primary button and secondary button, and we can change the colors from here. But keep in mind that when you change colors in the theme settings, then these changes will apply to the whole your store. So if you change the button colors here, you'll also change them on your product pages, on your home page, on your collection pages. So these changes apply to your store as a whole. But from here, from the sections, we can change it from secondary to, for example, primary, and we'll just get the reverse effect. We'll get the white background, black colored letters, and black borders. And when we hover, we see that we now get the black background, white colors, and black borders. So this is how you change these settings from here. So now let's return to our store here. So we don't have the load more button here, as we only have 3 blog posts, and our pagination is set to 6, and the minimum is 6 blog posts. So next we have the show filter by tag. So as you can see, when we scroll here, we get the name of the blog, and we have this filter. So we can either view all posts, we can only choose to view blog posts that have this tag, or this tag, or this tag. So as you remember, when we add blog posts from our Shopify admin panel, we have a video on this topic. We'll link it in the description box. Feel free to check it. When we add blog posts, we can choose to add tags. It's not mandatory, but you can add them. And these are these tags and how you can view blog posts depending on which tag the blog post has. So from here we can either show filter by tag or remove it, and we will not see the tags in here. So next we have the featured blog posts. So for example, we have plenty of blog posts here, and we want to show one blog post as featured. So let me go to this example. So this is the blog page here, and as you can see we have one big blog post here. This is our featured blog post article. So when we go back to here, we can actually select this article. So we have blog post, we click on select article, and let's choose, for example, this one. But also keep in mind that this is the default blog page settings, so it doesn't mean that this article is added only to this blog one blog. When we add something in the default page, it means that the changes apply to all of the pages. So we'll have this featured article on this blog, and we'll also have it on other blogs. So for example, let's click save changes here, and now let's go and view our blog. So this is our blog one here. As you can see, we have this featured article, but when we go back and we go to other blogs, for example, we'll have this blog here. We click on view page, we also get this featured article, even though this specific blog doesn't have any posts within it, but we still get the featured article in here because this featured article was added as an article here via the default page. So just keep this information in mind. Then anything you add to the default page adds to all of your pages. So now let's move on from here. We have the color settings, we have the background color. So as you can see, we have this light gray color here. You can change it to, for example, white or pink. You can just choose any color that suits you the most, or we can leave it as it is. Then we have this border color, so you can change it, for example, to black. We'll have these black borders of our featured article here. We can also change the text color. So again, you can choose any color that you'd prefer. And we also have the date color. So as you can see, we have our date here. For example, we can change it to white, and now we have our date color changed in here. So next, what we also have these show borders. So we've recently just changed our settings for the border color, but we can actually choose to not show borders at all. So as you can see, we do not have these borders of our featured blog anymore. We can also enable image lazy load from here or disable it. And we can also change the button type. So here, as you can see, we have learn more to go to this blog post and read it thoroughly. We have the button learn more, and from here we can once again change it from primary, which means white background, black color letter, and black borders. And on hover, we get the black background and white letters. We can change it to secondary, and we'll just have the reverse effect. We have the black background and white colors. So just as we've discussed before, you can change the colors from your theme settings colors, button primary and button secondary. But once again, keep in mind that these changes apply to your store as a whole. So let's go back to section here, and we can change the button type. Next, we can also add the button area label. So this is needed for a good accessibility. For example, for people that have hard time with reading, they can just choose for this button to be read to them. So they'll hear what is added in here. So for example, we can add learn more about these blog post, for example, and this is what people will hear when they request for accessibility for this button here. And next, what we have in here, we have the layout. So we can make this container full width, but if unchecked, then the container width will be based on the group layout settings in the theme settings. So we go to theme settings, we go to layout, and we can see that the container width is set to medium, which is 1680 pixels. We can also change it to small and large. So in case we do not tick here for make full width, then the container will be the same as in the theme settings, 1680 pixels. So next we have the offset settings. As you can see, we have the desktop offset top. So from here, we can remove this offset, set it to 0 pixels, for example, or we can add some offset in here. And the same goes for the bottom. So as you can see, we can remove it to 0, and we can add this space in here back to here. So these are the settings for like these a space between these sections. And the same is for the mobile. You can also set the offset for the top and for the bottom. So next we have the theme settings regarding our article pages here. So we'll click on theme settings, and let's see what we have in here. So from here we can choose to show blog post. So let's disable it, for example. And as you can see, we no longer have the blog post date here, and here. But now let's turn it back on. And as you can see, we now have these dates here. Next, we can also show blog post author. So this is that says UTD dev. This is the author. We can disable it. As you can see, we no longer see the author of this blog post. We can also choose to show blog post tags. So this is lookbook, test, and summer. These are our tags. We can disable them, and keep in mind that only the first tag of the blog post is shown. So when we remove the tags overall, we don't have any tags in here. However, we still have the tags in the filters. So when we click on lookbook, still the blog posts that have this tag, they'll appear. It's just that in these cards we don't see the blog post tag. So next we can strip the title to 3 lines. So as you can see right now, we have these examples where the titles are maximum 2 lines, but for blog posts that have the titles set to more than 3 lines, you can strip the title to only show maximum 3 lines. And the same goes for the content of our blog posts. We can strip the content to 3 lines as well. So if we disable this, then we'll see the full article in here. As you can see, we get all of this information, but for a slicker look, let's strip the content to 3 lines. So we can also choose to show comment count. So as you can see, we have 0 comments in here. We can disable this, and we'll no longer see the comments count. And also we can choose to show these gray borders, or disable them and don't show any borders between our blog posts. And if you choose to show the borders, then here you can select the color of your border. So when we click here, we can choose any color that we prefer. And the last thing that we have in here is the default article page. So for example, if you create the article, which is the blog post, and you don't add any image for this article, then you can set a default image. So for example, let's choose this image here. If we set this image here and we create the blog post without any images, then this default one will appear. And these are all of the instructions for the blog post page. Next, we'll take a look at the blog posts themselves. Okay, so now we need to go from the default blog to the blog posts, default blog post. And here is our default blog post. So it means that once we click on the blog, this is on the blog post, this is the page that we'll see. So for example, here is our blog. When we choose this blog post, this is our default blog post. And once again, keep in mind that if you make any changes here to this default blog post page, these changes will apply to all of your blog posts pages. This is just a default template. So once we're here, we just need to go to this template section and click on article main. So we have our blog post here, and the first thing that we can do is change the banner type. We can change it from full width to container. This will mean that in such case, we'll have the borders around our banner. And next we can choose the banner text color. So this is this text in the banner, and we can change the colors. However, keep in mind that it's applicable only for banner type full width. If you have container type, then you will not have these words here. So now let's change the text color. This is the title of our blog post. You can change it to any color that you want, and as you can see, these changes apply to this text here. Next, we have the overlay opacity. So if you want this text to be more visible and you want to throw some shade on this picture, we can adjust the overlay opacity. So as you can see, like here, and the color of this overlay can be set in the theme settings, colors, and let's now scroll here. Here is our overlay. So for example, let's set it to black. We'll have the black overlay, and now as we change the opacity, as you can see, the picture becomes darker and darker. But you can of course choose any color for your overlay. So next we can choose to show author. So this is our author here. We can hide it, for example, or return it back here. We can also show text. As you can see here, we can disable or enable the text here, and keep in mind that only the first block tag is shown here. Next we can choose to show social. So if we scroll down here, we'll see this share button, so we can share on Facebook and Twitter, or just copy the link for this blog, and you can click here and we'll disable these social buttons. Okay, so after that we have the related articles. So as you can see, we have this text here, and if we disable it, then we will not see these related articles in here. But we can enable and show these articles. You can change the text of this label, of the heading. Just feel free to change it to anything that you'd prefer. And keep in mind that these related articles are the last articles in your blog. So our blog has only 3 articles. Let's just click on this blog here. Here are our 3 articles in the blog 1. As you can see, and this is one of our articles already displayed here. So this is why we have only 2 articles in here. But if we create a new article, then it will be located somewhere in here. So next we can choose to show blog button. So as you can see, we have this button here that says all and the name of your blog. If you want your clients to be able to read through the article and then go back to your blog where all of the posts are located, then you can enable this show blog button, or we can disable it. As you can see, we no longer have the button here. So now let's return it here. And then we can choose the button style. So right now we have the secondary style, which means that we have black background, white text, and black borders. And on hover, we see white background, black text, and black borders. So if we change it to primary, we'll get the reverse effect. We'll have the white background, black color of the text and of the border. And when we hover, then we'll get the black background and white text. Keep in mind that you can change these colors from the theme settings, from the button primary and button secondary. But once again, I'd like to remind you that if you apply changes here, then the changes are displayed throughout your store, so for all of your buttons. Okay, so after this show blog button, we have the layout. So we can set the desktop offset for the top, for the bottom, and the same for the mobile. So as you can see, we have some space in between this article, this section, and our footer. So for example, if we reduce the offset here, we don't have any space in here anymore. And the same can be done for the top here. So for example, we don't have any spacing, but we can of course add it here. And as you can see, we now have some space in between the article and this section here. We can also change the colors for the comment background. So if you enable comments for your blog posts so that your visitors can leave comments on the articles here, then you can change the comment background. Next, we have theme settings, and once again here we can choose to show borders. So for example, let's now disable them. As you can see, our related articles no longer have any borders between them. We can choose to show the blog post date. So if we disable it, as you can see, we no longer have the date for the related articles here. If we want to, we can hide the post author. We can also strip the title to 3 lines or strip the content to 3 lines. And we can also choose to show or not the comment count. And once again, if we want to add the default article image, we can add it through here. And these are all of the settings on how to set up your article, your blog post page. If we go back here to our template, keep in mind that you can actually add any sections in here. So you can add your products, your collections, the slideshow, maybe image with text, a video. Feel free to add any section that you want in here. And thank you very much for your time. If you have any questions, feel free to contact our support team. We're always here to help. And also don't forget about our theme manual, where you can also find all of this useful information about blog posts. Thank you once again. Have a great day. Bye.